Okay, about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, K-Line was coming out with a lot of interesting trains. And I bought one, and then I put it in the box, and I never took it out other than to make sure that the dealer that sold it to me actually had that train in the box. So this is a grand unveiling. So can you see this box? These are Santa Fe's. This is the midnight special that Lionel said was going to produce, but never actually did. So is this showing the camera pretty well?
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah, so it's an ABA unit, and I can tell by the weight that it does have a motor in it. Either that or it's got an anchor in it. And there's the other half of it. So it's a 2333 and a 2335. And then here's the B unit. Actually, there must be something inside this particular unit because it weighs a couple pounds too. But we're not done yet, folks. We have more. So let me turn the machine over here a little bit. So this is the period where I was working. Now that I'm retired, I can no longer do this. So I bought a set of 4
the passengers that go with it.
Yep. And you know, Michael, I have you to blame for this. Because if you hadn't brought that
that Santa Fe out with all the cars?
Yep. This probably would have stayed in the box for who knows how many years.
Well, you know, my thing is, if I can't see it and run it, it doesn't exist.
Well, now it's going to exist.
Somebody in the last 2-3 weeks, I wish I could remember exactly where, one of the magazines had a story on this set.
Oh, really?
How Lionel never made it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just read something on it, and I just don't remember where.
Yeah, I remember they had it on a cover of a catalog, or they put it on some promotional materials.
It was either that or some guy, that's why it was in the magazine, who rebuilds trains, you know, fixes them up, decided to build one according to what this specification would have been.
So, all right, I'm not going to bother to take those other 2 out because I can see that they are so long, they just won't work on my layout.
Oh, they're 036.
Oh, yeah.
Are they longer than the Lionel ones? The aluminum? Because the aluminums don't look like they'd ever go around the bend, but they do.
Well, I'm gonna hold it up to, see.
I'll just put one on the track and roll it around the switch and see what happens.
Okay. So,
The same length?
seeing is believing. We got this edge to edge. Look at
Oh,
that. It must be at least 3 inches longer.
No way, it's an 036.
Okay, now it says it's TMCC. So,
Well, if you've got TMCC, it'll come up as number 1.
yeah. Well, so far it's not coming up as anything.
The lights.
It does have light on in the engine.
Engine 1.
Nothing there.
Well, then you got to read the manual. Because the
Oh,
line,
no. I don't want to read a manual.
the Lionel TMCCs all come out of the box as ENG1.
Well, then I guess you get half a show. Maybe in some succeeding Zoom phone call, I'll have it working.
We'll make it work.
Yeah. So, well, as long as I've got the camera ownership, let me show you some other things that are going on here. So, do you remember Walt Disney World? And on Sundays they had Disney cartoons and Davy Crockett and everything. So
Yeah.
one of the things that fascinated me as a kid was Casey at the Bat. So I loved that cartoon. It had Jerry Colangelo, guy with those googly eyes. He did the narration of the cartoon. But what I did was I actually read the poem. I know you can't really see this here, but the poem was written well over 100 years ago at this point. And it tells the story of this, the Mudville Nine. And the Mudville Nine were this great local baseball team. And the poem describes how, you know, the great team is behind, but don't worry, Casey's coming up to bat here. So what I did was I recreated that last part of this, the at-bat, and I painted all the figures. I don't know if you can see that scoreboard over there. I don't think I can probably make it large enough, but you'll have to trust me. It's got the score. I created a little stadium here. Yeah. Put a couple hundred people in the stadium. This took me probably at least a month to do this. Up at the top it says the Mudville Stadium, and this was a fun exercise on my part.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm into the what I would call dioramas.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have at least 1,000 people on my table, and I'm going to guess I probably painted half of them myself. You know, I don't exactly paint very many of them in the summer. It's definitely a winter's thing to do. Can you hear the witches?
Yeah, barely, yeah.
But if I can think of any little kind of scene, I'll try and recreate it. Over here, I've got a circus. And let's see if, well, at least the Ferris wheel is turning tonight. It doesn't appear that the carousel is just going a little.
There it goes.
Oh, well. So I took apart an existing Ferris wheel. I put in my own horses, my own kids. My son, one of my sons is named Ben. I'm going to stop those witches. They're getting pretty annoying. So I've got two other things to show here. Trying to decide which way to come. One of the first things that I built on this table, which shows the mania that I'll go through, I built this mountain, which is about 8 feet long and probably 3 or 4 feet high. And I bought these little molds and I used plaster of Paris. Now, the nice thing about using plaster of Paris is you can get some incredible detail out of it, and it painted up very nicely. But the problem is this mountain probably weighs 400 pounds.
Oh,
So I got my sons to help me get this on the table. It was in sections, and it's not going anywhere. Whoever buys this house after we leave is going to inherit the mountain. And I've put on the mountain, let's see if we can show these little creatures that are here. I guess that's as close as it's going to get, but I put people all over it. These are mythological creatures. I've got Boy Scouts climbing the mountain on the other side. I've got some planes that have crashed into the mountain. I guess that happened on foggy nights or other things like that. So that's what's part of my diorama. There's, you know, if I get an idea, I'll rip apart a section of the table and then rebuild it with whatever noodling ideas come into my head.
yeah, that's really cool.
All right, since I'm still talking here, I got one more thing. My wife's grandfather owned the Eagle Diner in Newark, New Jersey. And if you can see. So this was a diner that they had in the 30s and 40s. It looks like not the Hardy Boys, but the Satchmo and his gang of people. So that person right there is my wife's grandfather. He bought the diner and had it in operation for a number of years. And so the reason that I did that was to show you I built a diner. And see if we can get close enough to it. I don't know if you can tell, but that's the Eagle Diner.
It's right on it.
Yeah.
Yep. And inside, working at the counter, is Jaju, that's Polish for grandfather, and the people that worked for him.
Huh.
So
That's awesome.
So that was another fun little project.
Yeah.
All right.
Those personal touches really add to it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think personal stories are the best. You know, you can come up with an idea like Casey at the Bat, but if you can come up with something that's personal, that's even better. So anybody have any train stories? So where'd you get that GE fan that you're repairing, Bobby?
Actually, an old roommate from college. It was his grandparents, and so I do a lot of refurbishment on old Tonkas, Buddy L's, stuff like that, old toys in general. And so I posted that on Facebook, and so he saw it and he said, "Hey, I have an old Tonka and I have a fan. Can you refurbish them?" And I said, "Sure, I'll give it a try." So I'm about halfway through both of them now. The fan they were made like the thing must weigh about 15 pounds. It's very heavy, all metal, of course. And the motor, it just needed some oil. As old trains and old anything, oil is a very good fixer-upper for making fans or making motors turn. So that's what was preventing that one from turning. And I've got to rewire it because the wiring was a little bit iffy. I wanted to hit the button, but I wouldn't get it back to them that way. It's pretty. Insulation's cracked and everything. But yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah. So Bobby, did you look at the one video that we posted where it showed a double helix?
I did not. No.
Yeah, so that's either, I guess maybe it's the second.
First one, I think.
But was it the first one?
Yeah, I think so.
Kind of scan either the first one or the second one
Okay.
out there, and so that was my feat of engineering. And I remember Mike stumped me with the question. He asked me what the gradient was, and I had no freaking idea.
Yeah, if the trains went up, that's what counts.
Yes. Yep. So.
I'll take a look at that. Find that. Yeah. So that trolley, that Lionel trolley that I worked on, because it was only going in one direction, and there was actually a guy on the Lionel group. I can't remember his name. It wasn't either one of you guys, but it was several years ago when my friend bought that, it would only go in one direction as well. And so I guess that's a common problem on the wiring on that little motor. The solder joint, you could just, I mean, it was a lot smaller than my fingers, of course, but you could look at it with a magnifying glass and it was like that. It was just had a, just a tiny separation in there. And so I just put a bead of solder on there and that fixed it right up. But I guess just the vibration over the years causes that to break down sometimes.
Yeah, it's usually that or the slide thing inside that makes it turn direction.
Oh, okay.
Gets a bunch of dirt on it, and when it goes in the other direction, it loses contact.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's either what you got or the slide.
Slide, gotcha.
From the same reasons. It gets banged around.
Yeah, he has it in front of his Christmas tree, and I don't think it runs 24/7, but it runs during the day. So it's getting, and it's going, it's in a shape kind of like that, and so it has bumpers at each end, just constantly going back and forth.
And nobody ever runs them slow. So when they get that bumper, bam.
Yeah, exactly. So I made a little video of it working after I fixed it for him this second time. I guess my solder joint didn't, because it looked like it had failed in the same place. So I guess I tried to make it a little bit heftier this time with the solder. But so I made a picture of it. And I had some old. Let's see. I think it may have been Mark's track that I was running it on. The Lionel transformer. And so now he wants me to locate this old Mark's track with road bed on it. So apparently that's kind of hard to find. It stumbled on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Mark's track is available.
Yeah, you could. I was looking on eBay, and you can pretty much find just the plain metal track with no road bed. I mean, it looks like you can find that every day, but the road bed stuff is kind of hard to find. I didn't even realize that when I picked it up. You see something at a garage sale or wherever, and I just pick it up. Lionel, Mark's, American Flyer.
Well, I confess, I think I bought more than a few things, and it wasn't until I got home and clearly started to inspect it and said, that's not what I thought I bought. And, whether the person offering it kind of led me along or it was just simply my willful ignorance, I'm not sure. But I got a lot of junk under the table.
Yeah. When I had my last birthday in December, I kind of started having this feeling that stuff needs to start going out of the house instead of into the house.
How's that going for you?
Yeah, it's mixed results. Yeah. Yeah, I'm dumping a lot of stuff. I collect old G.I. Joes from the 60s, and I'm getting rid of a bunch of duplicates and stuff like that. So in that respect, it's been pretty well.
So is there a market for old G.I. Joes at this point?
Yes. Yeah. Quite
Do they have to be in the box?
No, pretty much any condition will sell. When you buy collections and stuff, you end up, same way with trains, you end up with some junk that it's not, you don't want. And so I grouped some of the junk together and put it as little lots out there on eBay for 10 or 15 bucks, and will always buy it to customize stuff. And then I put several good, nice sets together too that were just duplicates that I had.
Yeah.
So I was actually surprised at how quickly they did go. I'm pretty detailed in my descriptions and stuff, so people generally know what they're getting when they buy something from me. So I don't want to have to take something back. That's the main thing.
No.
So I'm pretty critical.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left. So anybody got any last thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sorry I monopolized the time with non-Lionel stuff.
I think I did it, but I remember everybody has a turn at the with the ring. Well, then I think we should finish up. Because there's only been a small quorum, we skipped a week, but I'm going to say let's skip a month and get together the second Tuesday in August. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I'll send out an invite a couple days ahead of time for that one. And I'll try to post this video in the next couple of days, and we'll see what's going on. So everybody have a good
Good.
summer, and talk to you again later.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Good. Till next time.
Yep, bye.